Hey guys, happy Monday. I hope you've had a great weekend. I'm just gonna get started with my makeup. I have such irritation on my chin right now. Do you guys ever get this where like it'll be clear and fine one day and I swear the next day I get like all these little like whiteheads and I kind of messed with it. Now it's just red. But yeah, it's so weird. That never used to happen to me like right here. But oh no, lately. Okay, so I'm just using my the new Glossier Stretch Concealer that I received last week, and this is from their new line. They expanded from 5 shades to now 12, and these days I have been just like putting on a little bit of concealer where I need it, and I've been kind of skipping foundation. So while I put this on, last week I asked you guys to leave me topics that you'd like me to discuss in my morning chats and or video requests. And there was one question that I thought was really awesome, and I feel like this is something that I relate to very much and that I could speak about. So let's see, it says, how do you find encouragement and motivation in pursuing a path that is less traditional? I'm currently a freelance graphic designer and constantly find myself in a state of anxiety in dry months, but also a great deal of satisfaction when I have full creative control over a project. This imbalance is sometimes a lonely struggle as most of my friends are in very stable careers, and I find it hard to have a support system. Oh my gosh, first of all, thank you so much for your contribution and request. But yeah, I think this is something that I can very much relate to. I feel like I'm in it right now, and I've been here for the last year or so. So for something like this, I would say the very starting point. So the starting point of where I would even think about this whole thing is my why, right? Like my purpose and why I have decided to do what I'm doing. And for me, it always comes down to the fact that God called me here. God called us to Maui. God called me to start this coaching business and, you know, taking it one step further than just, you know, having a YouTube channel as a hobby, which is what I used to do when I was in Korea, right? So I would ask you to start there. Like, I know, I totally understand. I have been living in a state of anxiety, really high anxiety I think it's gotten much better now. But oh man, like when you said that you find yourself in a state of anxiety in dry months, I feel you. And I know how scary it can be. And so I think it's really important to remember why you chose to do what you're doing. So yeah, that's my personal like underlying foundation. And from there is where I operate and make my decisions. So with that said, it happens so often, probably at least once a day, where I'm like, what am I doing? Why am I doing this? I still have those moments for sure. Looking back on the year that we've had, as amazing as it's been being in this new, beautiful, like seriously, so many times where I just step outside, like I feel like I'm in paradise. And somebody said this to me where it's like, hey, you're still gonna have the same problems, and you know, you can't ever run away from your problems or like escape anxiety. It's just you'll get to deal with it in a very beautiful place. And so I try to remember that. Yeah, I've gone through my share of meltdowns this month and having panic attacks and just crying and being unable to stop. So I share this so that, you know, if you find yourself in a similar situation, know that you're not alone. When it comes to friends in stable careers, it's so funny. I was just thinking about a recent conversation that I had with someone, and I won't say who it is, but yeah, I often find that when I talk to my friends who are, you know, in corporate jobs or living a very different lifestyle than I'm living, I often get the comment where it's like, man, I feel like you live the best life and you get to set your own schedule and do whatever you want. I think that's something I hear a lot. Like, you get to do whatever you want. And then I've had other friends who have kind of joked about the fact that like they think Brandon and I are retired, which is so funny to me. They're like, yeah, what's it like? Do you guys just wake up and go to the beach every day and just hang out? And like, what's retirement like? How did you guys retire in your 30s? And that's just so funny to me, because in a lot of ways I feel like I'm adulting now, just because it's something so new and so terrifying still. Yeah, I had a conversation with someone recently and she was saying that, yeah, she made comments about like how I must be, my life seems so fun and that I get to do what I want. And she's like, yeah, some people, they wanna like have a job where it's like you want to go to work or show up for work and feel like you're making a difference and making an impact in the world. And then there are other people that, just want to have security and go to a job and, do well at that job, but not necessarily like I have to make a difference or else kind of mentality. And she's like, yeah, and I'm happy with that. That's where I am. And I'm really good at what I do. And yeah, like I can't do what you're doing, basically, right? And I just thought that was so respectable for her to say that and own it. And she's like, yeah, I'm not trying to like change the world in like the sense that maybe you want to. She's talking to me. I think the fact that she wasn't like, oh, I'm in this job, I hate it, and I really have a bigger dream and I want to go after it, but I'm too scared, and so I'll just stay here and be miserable. Like that's not her case at all. But on the flip side of how she thinks about me and how she's like, wow, your life must be great. I was listening to her talk and I was like, man, it must be so nice to know, exactly what your paycheck's gonna look like, every time you receive one. And it must be really nice to have, like all the like all the great healthcare benefits and, just having that security. Yeah, I definitely found myself like envying that life too. Going back to what you said there are times when you have high anxiety, but then when you have full creative control, there's like high satisfaction. I think that comes with what we've decided to do, right? I'm sure you have friends in your life that look at your lifestyle and think, man, you're so lucky you get to set your own hours and you get to decide what projects you wanna say yes to and which ones you can turn down and things like that. The friend that I was talking to that's in her corporate job was saying that even if she wants to make a difference in her corporation, it's like there's, when you're in such a huge company, there are so many people above you and not necessarily, like, it's not that your idea will be accepted or even considered to be executed, right? So in that way, it can kind of feel like, man, I really don't have room or space to make a difference, right? And as a freelancer, because you are trusted to deliver on a project and you are hired for your vision and your skills, that's really cool because then you get to make a direct impact on what you're working on, right? So I think that's the trade-off. It's, yeah, in the dry months, it can be overwhelming and scary, but when the payoffs are high, like it feels great, right? And it feels very rewarding. And I guess in terms of having a support system, I understand you too there because, I mean, we're so lucky to have so many amazing friends, like literally all over the world. And as supportive as they are, sometimes it can still feel lonely because no one exactly knows what I'm doing. And maybe people in your life, maybe they don't know exactly what you're doing either, but they can still be there for you to cheer you on and to support you, right? So something I've wanted for a really long time, like ever since not right when I started YouTube, but maybe once I got a little more serious about it, probably after I started doing morning chats regularly, I really wanted other friends that were doing YouTube just so that we can have this common ground, right? So that I could, do collaborations or bounce ideas off of people or, have someone teach me how to deal with people being mean in the comment section on my videos or all those things that I kind of had to, I mean, I guess Brandon helped a lot too, but I had to figure it out by myself. And I think because I had to do that, like my skin has become thicker than before I started YouTube. So there are a lot of positives that came out of that too, in that loneliness. And speaking of loneliness, I mean, that was like one of the main reasons why I even started YouTube. Because I was in Korea, I felt so far away from my friends back in New York, and I just felt really disconnected. And I felt like I didn't really fit in with the culture, and I didn't, I wasn't listening to Korean music or watching Korean dramas or like following Korean fashion. So I really felt like an alien in a lot of ways, like living in a place like a not my mother planet. And so I really wanted to connect with people that, were like-minded, right? And like the same things. And even when I was in Korea, I wasn't even into K-beauty, which was like crazy because if I was, like, it would have been the perfect place for me to be, right? But like all the skincare, all the makeup I was using, it was all from the States. So I'm like, I want to talk to people that, like live abroad. So I really wanted to talk to the people that like the same products that I like and, had access to it. And so I started YouTube to make that connection, right? So at some point I decided to, reach out to creators that I liked and just let them know that what it is I appreciate about them or their work, and to just kind of, whether it's becoming more active in their comment section or sending emails, I wanted to make that friendship happen. So luckily I was able to make friends through YouTube because of it, and not just with other creators, but I became friends with people that were once just viewers on my channel, and that was really cool. But like I had to put myself out there, not just on YouTube, but I had to take the extra step of trying to make those connections. So I guess for you, I wonder if, is there some kind of a community you can join where you could feel more connected to other people that are doing similar work? Or, if that's hard to find in person, is it a possibility for you to maybe look into Facebook groups? Or I think meetup.com might be a good option. I know when we first moved here and Brandon was really looking for community in terms of like different interests like volleyball, or I think he's also attended like real estate meetups and WordPress meetups because he wanted to figure out how to like build websites and stuff. So yeah, like he put himself out there and tried to find people with, common interests. If you even want to take more of a baby step, another thing that I found really helpful, like a great resource, was listening to podcasts. I love listening to podcasts about like entrepreneurs, especially female entrepreneurs, and just hearing different stories and struggles of how people started out. Like How I Built This is a great one if you want to start a business, or if you've already started a business. What else? Gold Digger podcast is another awesome resource. So everything I've mentioned so far, it's very external, right? It has to do with you taking action and seeking things outside of yourself. So that's one part of it. And I think the other huge part that you can do right now for yourself is your mindset, right? Like your mindset is so important. Like I mentioned in my example earlier with, me talking to friends who have a stable 9-to-5 job where they know exactly how much is going to be on, in their paychecks every 2 weeks, or, however often people get paid. The reality is like the grass is always going to seem greener on the other side in one way or another, right? And I'm pretty sure you have people in your life that wish they could be doing what you're doing. Whether that's not being tied to a 9-to-5, or, setting your own schedule, having full creative freedom over your projects, right? And so in terms of the mindset, it's just way too easy to sit and kind of nitpick at our individual situations, right? And to list all the ways that we wish things could be different or better. But in fact, if we just sit there and we accumulate things to add onto that list, that doesn't serve us in any way. If anything, it just kind of affirms the fact that like maybe we made a really bad decision. And if you're high in neuroticism, which is me, I'm very sensitive to negative emotions, it's so easy for that to just snowball and just become out of control. And now I'm just questioning like everything in my life. So the thing I like to remind myself of when I start feeling anxious or I feel a lot of doubt and fear is, what was it? There was a quote that I saw somewhere, and I can't put my finger on where, but it was like, bloom where you're planted. I think it's based off of a Bible verse in 1 Corinthians about like, flourishing where God has placed you. And so that's the kind of mindset that I really like to hold on to. And yeah, like I hope to take this with me. So even if we had to move Maui and go somewhere else, like I would hope that wherever I'm called to next, I'm going to be able to bloom and be grateful for the situation that I'm in and to just really thrive as best I can, right? And so if you really believe that you're supposed to be a freelance graphic designer right now, one exercise I would highly recommend you do right now is to set a 10-minute timer on your phone and sit there and list all the ways that choosing to be a freelance graphic designer is the best decision you've made in your life. Make a list of why that is. And you will be surprised by what you'll come up with, because our minds will find evidence based on what we're focused on, right? So if we keep thinking about how lonely and hard and what a struggle it is, like our minds will think of all the evidence really to tell us like how much our situation sucks. That's just how it is. It's just how we're wired. And so if you start focusing on the ways that this is the best decision you've made and how grateful you are to be able to have this decision, then your brain will start firing in that direction and you'll be able to list ways that only you can come up with for yourself. Okay, so this is something that I do as well. Sometimes I don't like sit there and write it out, even though that's what I recommend. But sometimes I'll try to sit there and even do it mentally. Once you start doing something like this, you can do this for so many areas in your life. And for me, like one way of doing that is writing my gratitude newsletters on Fridays, right? So I know that on Fridays, well, Thursday night, I have it scheduled to go out Friday morning. And so all week, I'm just thinking about like, what are the 5 things that I really want to share that I really appreciated this week, or new things that I discovered that you guys might be interested in hearing about, or things that I've just appreciated, or people that I've connected with or had conversations with. So I'm always on the lookout for things that I'm grateful for, things I'm gratitude for. And because I've trained myself to be in that mindset, this doesn't mean that like I don't spiral in my negative thought loops. I do. But I know that I have this as an option to pull myself out. And because it's something that I've held myself to and I'm responsible to, and I'm excited about sharing, it's been tremendously helpful. Oh no, what is this? Okay, so yeah, the only thing that I don't like about these Q&A things, it's because it feels so one way, you know, like I'm talking into the camera, even though like you asked me an excellent question. I wish I was talking to you, you know, because one, like I don't like giving advice. It's just all of our situations are so different, like our circumstances are different, and I'm sure that there's a ton of information about you that I don't have. And so I'm just kind of thinking out loud and sharing the things that I've tried and the things that have worked for me. So they're merely just, I don't know, tidbits of information from me, I guess. But in no way am I trying to push my agenda on you. But yeah, like I wish I could just ask you more questions and have you kind of think out loud and just brainstorm and share things with me that I don't know about you. Like why you decided to go into freelance graphic design. I guess to hear more about the things that you've tried that have worked or that haven't worked. And yeah, I just have a lot of questions for you. But regardless, I so appreciate you asking, and thank you for hearing me out. So I'm drinking my coffee out of this little wine tumbler, and isn't this color so pretty? It's I think this color was released earlier this year, and I think it was a collaboration with Pantone, was what the lady at Hydro Flask. Yeah, the lady at the Hydro Flask counter at Natural Products Expo told me. So this cup, they weren't selling anything in their booth, but they did tell us, they're like, hey, if you come back at 4:30, we're gonna do happy hour. And so like it's first come, first serve. You just get online and you make a $10 donation and you get a wine tumbler, and you can either have your choice of wine or beer. And so Brandon and I, we went back and we lined up at 4. Yeah, and the line was so long. So I got this and he got like a pint glass. It's really pretty. It's like a olive green pint glass. And this sticker here, Grillo's Pickles. Okay, so a little story about these guys. First of all, they were like so decked out, like the way that they were dressed in their booth. They were also at the Natural Products Expo. Man, all the guys were just looking so spiffy, and they had like a pair of, it was like a special sneaker that was on display, and I think it was like signed by Patrick Ewing or something. I don't know. And they just had all these jars of pickles, and somehow Brandon scored like a big jar, and we brought it back, and we brought it to Ali and Nick's, right? And during one of our meals, we all started trying it, and oh my gosh, so good. Like, I actually put this sticker on my Tumblr before I even tried the pickles, just because I thought the sticker was so funny and it just made me smile. I feel like this is something that I would doodle for fun. But wow, these pickles are so crunchy. They're not sweet. I don't like sweet pickles. They weren't overly sour either, and just so delicious. Like, I could eat a jar of them right now. I looked on their website, and they do, I think they are carried in Target. We haven't been able to find it in our Target, but I know that, I mean, we live on an island. There are a lot of things that Targets in the mainland get that we won't. But if you have tried this, please let me know down below. Or if you have seen it, like, please go try it. It's so good. I think we had the spicy ones, and they weren't even spicy. It was just so, it was like crisp and crunchy. Oh, so good. Sorry, I just got a text from my friend. Are you home right now? Can I stop by super fast? Oh my gosh, my friend left me something on a chair in front of my house. Should I go get it? Should I show you guys? Okay, hold on. Oh my gosh, am I gonna cry? I might cry. It says, Jen, hope this can help clear your mind. Our family loves you. Oh my gosh. My friend just left me a gift certificate for a 60-minute massage at a spa nearby, and stickers that says you're magical. Oh my god, and this cute little makeup bag. Okay, so just for some context, this friend, I know I've talked about her. So she was the first friend that we made on the island. Besides Marie, I consider her my very first friend. You know, Marie from And the Color Green. She helped us find this house, and we met through YouTube. And so when Brandon and I got here, we joined the gym, and she was my first in-person friend. Her and her husband, we just kind of clicked off the bat, and she's someone that's super dear to me. And I think I'm sure I've mentioned her here and in my newsletter, but she's amazing. Like, I don't know how to describe her, but first of all, she's like built like a little action figure. Like, I mean, just has like such an amazing body. And one of her bucket list items was to become a surrogate one day. And I remember she mentioned this when we first, not right when we first met, but that was one of the first things that I learned about her. Yeah, like sometime last year, I remember I asked her if she was gonna do this competition, and she basically was like, oh, I don't think I can, like I might be pregnant that weekend. And I was like, what? Like, how can you estimate when you'll be pregnant? And then she told me that, oh, like she finally, her bucket list thing was going to come to fruition because there was a family that she was going to carry their baby for, and she's currently pregnant right now, and she's still like just killing it at the gym. I mean, she's taking it easy, but God, their family is so adorable. Like this weekend we went to her son's 5th birthday party, and her husband is awesome too. He's a firefighter, and he's at the fire station like right by our house. And yeah, we just love those guys. And she knows, you know, if you received my gratitude newsletter last Friday, you know what I'm referring to. And yeah, she's been so amazing, and I've been telling her about, you know, just being like moody and emotional and this and that. And so she just dropped this off in front of my house. Oh my gosh, I gotta go call her. Thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know if you have any other topics or video requests that you'd like me to do in future videos. Leave a comment for me down below. Let me know how you're doing. And thank you. I appreciate you. And I'll see you soon. Bye.